What's happening? It's the Heavyist podcast, weekly worship at the altar of bloody radness. We've got a nice week. We've got loads of good things to talk about. We've got a lovely guest. Everything's great apart from my internet connection.
Apart from Sonny's internet connection, as usual. Tom, what's cracking? Oh no, is Tom stuck now? Oh no, he's just sitting really still. I'm just paranoid at this point.
I'm here and I'm
Move
good.
at all times, Tom. Don't do this to me. Stop sitting still. You're scaring me.
Just did possum for a bit there and I just completely screwed us.
That's not cool. That's not cool, dude.
I'm having a complete shocker. My internet's bad, and just before this, I sat on the toilet, but the toilet seat went down. It's ruined my day. Don't you hate that?
I can't say that I've ever done it.
Have you never done it? It just
I've
feels
ever
weird.
done that before.
You're just like, oh.
You weren't like, oh, it's probably quite early to be getting into toilet talk, but you weren't like really desperate to go and.
No, it just feels weird. Yeah, like that episode of South Park where they keep falling in.
Oh, mate, what a bummer. You know, these things happen sometimes.
I know, so I'm gonna be very I'm gonna require some personal space for a while.
Okay. That's the one thing I could definitely give you is personal space. Don't ask anything else of me, though. What are we doing mucking about? Tom, congratulations on getting married, dude. That's awesome. You have a good time? Do you have a good honeymoon? Your honeymoon looked absolutely sick, by the way.
Oh, mate, like, honestly, like, it was just so we were away for like 3 weeks in total.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if you were on honeymoon or if you just like eloped or something.
Yeah. Yeah, mate.
It's Italy now.
Yeah. Buonasera. Yeah, mate, it was absolutely insane. Like, every moment of it was just beautiful. Like, yeah, we had like a little pre honeymoon thing where, because obviously we needed to relax before, and then the wedding, which was just fucking ridiculous. I still just can't believe that was our wedding. Like, it feels crazy that we got married in a place like that. And then our honeymoon was just ridiculous. We just
man,
it
looks it.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I mean, we've been together like 13 years at this point anyway, and I didn't know I could love her anymore, and I love her even more.
Lovely.
Oh, that nice. And that nice, yeah.
I've glutted with chunder. I've come over all glutted.
Also, your wedding drip looked absolutely sick, mate. You look badass.
Hardest
I wore a three-piece suit to my wedding like an absolute chump. What was I playing at?
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I mean, I love that shirt. I'm buzzing that I got to like get married in that, and my fucking trainers as well. Like, I can't believe I got a pair of fucking Dior trainers for it. But
mate, that's cool.
But it's
your trainers.
Yeah, but I mean, like, I was looking at like buying suits, and I was like, for the suit that I want, like, I could just splash out on a really sick shirt, really sick trousers, really sick trainers. So I did that instead.
Hell yeah, that's the power move. I respect it immensely.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was a bloody lovely wedding that you had there, Tom. Me trying to smooth over technical difficulties nice and early.
So I'm trying to chime in like he wasn't just frozen the entire time.
I really liked the bit where you talked about the vows.
I liked the vows.
Dear me. You're going to warm up. It's going to warm up. You'll be fine.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll just go from here. Fuck it. Tom, we've enlisted your help because today is a very special day in the death metal calendar. There are 2 ridiculous bloody releases that we certainly must chat about. Gary, where do you want to start, mate?
We certainly must. Well, I'm going to start with Blood Incantation, right? And that might seem a bit controversial, but I think I'm going to have to. So they're a 4-piece. For now, let's say death metal. We'll probably get into it. Band from Denver, Colorado, and their new album is called Absolute Elsewhere. It's released on Friday the 4th of October through Century Media Records. So it's been a bit of a little while since Blood Incantation have released a record, and yes, I'm absolutely not including Time Wave Zero in that. So let's say it's 2019. Hidden History of the Human Race came out, so it's 5 years, quite a while. And I don't know about you guys, but when I saw Blood Incantation have announced an album, I was like, sick, I can't wait to listen to a single. And then it comes up, it's actually 2 20-minute tracks. You're like, okay, so they're probably not going to release a single then? And then, like, I don't know, my spidey senses started tingling. I'm like, oh, God, what's going to happen? Because they are the kind of band who do definitely have the potential to disappear entirely up their own arse, aren't they? Like, they're fantastic and they're some of the best musicians in the scene, but also they're quite into their high art, and dare I say they can be quite pretentious. So I was a little bit like nervous about what this album was going to sound like, but then at the same time, on the flip side, like Blood Incantation were one of the bands that I was most drawn into when I was kind of going through my early transition period of when we started doing the podcast of really getting into death metal. They were one of the bands that really like grabbed me and made me go, oh my God, death metal's really cool, isn't it? Have you heard this band Blood Incantation? Like, I was completely blown away by it. So the energy that I had going into this album coming out was kind of confusing, but in a good way. The result is, days. I taste this album. I've got you guys, when you were younger, did your parents ever have one of those like 6 CD multi-changer things in their car?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
100%.
This album makes me think of like going on a family road trip with a multi-disc CD changer, and each one of you gets to pick a record and it goes on a shuffle. So your dad's chosen Pink Floyd, your mum's chosen Fleetwood Mac, your sister's chosen Simon and Garfunkel because she thinks she's a hippie since she went to uni, and then you've chosen Gorguts, and it's all just kind of rolling in until you get to your destination. This album is just so transportative, and like if you kind of add it up, it's probably about 30% death metal, but it's absolutely fucking incredible.
Yeah, this thing is just absolutely massive.
You said the word pretentious, and that's something.
Is he there?
No, go on, Tom.
Sonny, are you alive?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, pretentious is like one of the words I've written down, and my feelings are like identical to you, Gary, because it was like they are one of the bands that like that I first like fell in love with in this like death metal resurgence. Like there'd been bands sort of like come about that I love, like Mammoth Grinder and Gatecreeper, Genocide Pact, like as the sort of like first ones to sort of like come back to be doing it alongside Tomb Mold as well, and Necrot. But Blood Incantation was like the best one, and then I was kind of like a bit trepidatious about this. I was like, they can be pretentious, can't they? And I was kind of like, I don't know if I was like looking forward to it as much as I should have been.
Yeah,
but like when I listened to the first half of it before you guys hooked me up with the link for it, I was just like, holy fuck, like they've done it. They've fucking done it.
They've done it. Yeah. They've perfected the formula.
Done it. Because it does sort of like, like discounting Time Wave Zero. It does like, it just continues like Hidden Histories and like expands on it. And it does it like so well, like so fucking well. And like, you know, they've always like banged on and had like the imagery that's kind of like reminiscent of like Pink Floyd. Like obviously their live thing was like really similar to their like to Pink Floyd's like Live in Pompeii thing.
Yeah,
and the atmospherics and stuff. So I was like really fucking glad that they've like fully like lent into it, like fully like I was looking like on the press release thing to see if like David Gilmour had actually done like a guest spot on the first one. They do actually mention David Gilmour in the press release, don't they? But yeah, so I was just like, what the fuck? Like it literally sounds like new Pink Floyd, and obviously it's been a little while since we've had new Pink Floyd, so it's pretty mad.
Yeah, but, new Pink Floyd that isn't what's his face just going mental and re-recording The Wall on his own for some reason.
Yeah, but yeah, it's so fucking good. And I was talking to my mate about it, and someone must have coined the phrase life metal at some point, because like it sounds really happy instead of like gloomy.
Absolutely, dude. Like there's a lot. I mean, I've not got the most like prog chops in the world. Like I'm not a big prog guy, but what I do hear a lot is like Rush. There's that kind of like, especially when it's that when it's got all of the like the synth, and it's so like chirpy and like it's got like a sort of little skip in its step. And I swear, like I must be hitting an age where like I'm okay with prog. Like I'm not far off 40. I just turned 38, I'm gonna just have to like grow out the skullet and get a moustache and
Dude,
I don't know,
the
start
skullet's
smoking a
gotta
pipe
come.
and just get hella into ale. Like I think it's time. I think it's time, son. I think it's time that I just become a prog dude because clearly, off the back of this album, I'm absolutely fucking ready for it. Because this album, it just does it for me, man. It's like the way that it chops around. Some people might be, it's maybe a little bit disjointed, but it really, especially when you accompany it with like the video for the Stargate, and you watch how they kind of present the different sections of the different like the tablets as they're. I don't know if when they release it, it'll just be 2 tracks, or whether it'll have the segmentations like the stream that we got has. But the sort of the movements within the tracks just feel so like important, and every kind of shift feels like a plot twist or like just a sort of a scene change. Like you don't think, hang on a second, I was enjoying that bit, come back to it. Like it all just happens exactly when it should. It feels so. It must have been like storyboarded, this album. Like there's not a lot of music that needs to be storyboarded, but this is absolutely an example of that. Like it's so perfectly laid out.
I'm glad you touched on the video, man, because the video is just such a triumph. It is absolutely sick. When it starts off in the black and white. It reminded me of have you seen that Ben Wheatley film, A Field in England?
I haven't, no.
It's like I guess it's like a weird sort of trippy horror film where it's like it's all set in a field in England, and it's like a bunch of dudes like in some sort of war that's set in like the 1600s or something, and they it's kind of like the end of a war. One of them's kind of get captured or something, and they sort of inadvertently all get bonkers on mushrooms. Like they just trying to have some dinner, and it's got like Reece Shearsmith in it. It's really cool. And I wonder if it was because it's all shot in black and white. I wonder if it was like an inspiration for this in any way, like the way it starts. And just like that video is just unreal. I love how it moves so perfectly. Like all the shots sync up so brilliantly with the music in a way like that's just absolutely brilliant. The storytelling is unreal. Like the storytelling is just completely enhanced by that video. It's like this is really, really, really like throwing the gauntlet down to like other bands to do something like this. Like realistically, I'm gutted that this has come out this year and the Nile records come out this year, because off the back of this, we should be getting like a 20-minute Nile video, like of them like ancient Egypt. I guess the budget would probably be a bit mental. You probably need to get a bit more money behind it. But like, this is them just absolutely flopping their dick out and being like, this is what we're capable of. Like obviously the death metal is still a big part of it, but it absolutely shares the spotlight more with these other sort of ideas, these like sci-fi textures and this like prog aspect. Like I love how in I think it's in the first one, or is it the second one, where you get all that sort of like voiceover stuff, and it kind of sounds like that public service broadcast band. You know what I mean?
No, I can't say that I do. What is that? Literally a band that is it like the song Sunscreen? You got to wear sunscreen. Where he's like,
they basically like just do a load of like weird ambient stuff over like old public service broadcast stuff. So it's that like the sort of very sort of sort of. It's really, really lovely. If you've never heard it, it's a great thing to like sort of just turn your brain. If you need some sort of turn off your brain music, like you pop that on. I used to put it on in the office I used to work in sometimes, and it's absolutely sick.
Oh, okay.
Mate, this thing I love it so much. I think it's such an achievement massively in them combining all their influences to just something just so perfect by the end of it. Like at the end of it, this is like a record. You know, people talk about like desert island discs. You'd only need one. Like you just take this one and you'd be all right. You get all the different textures and all the different feelings and different ideas, and you'd be fine. You just, you know, probably take like a knife and a blood incantation vinyl and you'd be all right.
Yeah.
Do you know what it reminds me of? And it doesn't sound like it sonically, but like the feeling I got at the end of this, like when you reach that like last note, it really reminded me of like Colours by Between the Buried and Me.
That's definitely a touch point that I had, like the two Colours records. Probably more the first one than the second one, but there's That was definitely when I first listened to it. I think I messaged Sonny and I was like, "This is basically Colours by Between the Buried and Me if you dug it out of a swamp." And I think they've got like very similar like frames of reference when it comes to music taste. Like you got to think like Between the Buried and Me, told with like Dream Theater and stuff. Like they're really heavily in that sort of prog world as well. But you're right, it's just that it's the sheen. It's kind of like the finish on the record is very different, but I think the approach is fairly similar. But I think this record is just, I mean, it's definitely like more clean than like Starspawn or Hidden History, isn't it? It's got a cleaner finished kind of like, I think Hidden History, I'm pretty sure was recorded live in like one take, wasn't it? Like there's moments where you hear them kind of drift out of time slightly and stuff. Like don't even think they even played to a click on that record. But this probably has, but I guess there's so much going on and it's so like well mapped out, it'd be impossible to just try and record this as live like they did that one. Like I wouldn't want to bloody try it. And there's obviously a lot of like instruments swapping around, like a lot of synth and different bits and, you know, random moments where it goes full like hey nonny folk and stuff like that. Like it's just incredible. Like I think there's so many big hooky moments that really like stick in your brain as well, because that's something like with Colours, like you have to listen to Colours like 100 times before the hooks really start to stick in, whereas you listen to this like 2 or 3 times and you'll be there, can you hear them calling your name? Like these bits just like really stick out. Or like the first time it gets properly heavy when it's like, oh, life is temporary, like that whole moment is absolutely incredible. Was it all that lasts is consciousness? Like all of that stuff. There's all these just little pockets and the little like that riff that's the proper rushy riff. Just these things just all kind of swirl around in your head. But because of the nature of how the record is so kind of flowing, you don't even necessarily like know where those parts are. You walk away. You just got all of these random mishmash of ideas in your head that you're kind of left with afterwards. And I kind of love that about this record. It's so all over the place, so well put together at the same time. Like I don't know how someone manages that. It must just be like an incredibly large amount of psychedelic drugs. I guess that's probably what it is.
Mate, Sunday morning, I listened to this like 4 times on a loop, and it was just the best time ever. I enjoyed it so much. Like after the second time listened to it all the way through, I immediately went and spent like 80 quid on stuff. I got the poster, I got a hat, I got a patch, and then I paid for all the shipping, and then there was bloody tax on top. So like, yeah, like this album was just, I think it's so ridiculously special. It just compelled me to spend money on it straight away because I felt like
it is.
I've got the promo. I'm listening to it for nothing right now. These people deserve my money. Like my merch tokens are getting all used up right now.
I did the same thing. I dropped 50 merch tokens on a tie-dye long sleeve as well. Like, I was just like, right, it's just got to happen. Like, but Blood Incantation are too good for them to not deserve my money. And also, I thought, like, if I buy some merch, maybe they'll be able to afford to make, like, the message video that follows up from the Stargate video. Like,
yes.
That's something I really want to see. Like, I want the whole thing to just kind of be able to essentially be the soundtrack to a movie. Like, I love that. And I honestly think that, I mean, I randomly, I didn't want to read any reviews, but I sort of typed Blood Incantation review into Google, and like you kind of see like the first line of reviews, and I have a feeling this is potentially going to be like the album of the year in a lot of places. Like you can see everybody's absolutely obsessed with it, like I am, and like you guys seem to be as well. Like I just think
it's
this is
a spectacular.
I mean, in the inbox
display
right now, we've got Fit for an Autopsy, we've got Gaera, we've got Chat Pile, we've got Better Lovers, and I don't really want to listen to any of them at the moment. I'm just listening to this Blood Incantation album over and over again. Like I'm just completely floored by it.
What you were saying about the end of it as well, like the end of the last track, mate, it hits a height that really, like, this takes death metal to a place that Panopticon take black metal. Like, how fucking triumphant is that finale, man, when it's just all energy. It's so cinematic, it's so epic. It's brilliant. Like, not many bands get there, but they got there, man. They're at that Panopticon level.
That's high praise indeed, especially coming from you. And the fact that it ends with a storm as well, like, helps my holiday road trip analogy, because every holiday road trip I ever went on ended with going somewhere and it's raining the old times.
Can you imagine how good this record's going to be live as well? Like,
Oh my god,
Yes.
dude! Like, I don't even think I can imagine that. Like, I missed them when they could. You went, didn't you, Tom? I missed them when they came over.
yeah,
Like
no,
last year or year before.
I think it was the year before last. Honestly, one of the best bands like I've ever
I
seen.
was so gutted. I think I was on holiday when it happened, so I wasn't able to. I just wasn't able to go, and I was absolutely devo. Like, and I was probably going somewhere quite nice on holiday, I'm sure. And Nick's like really excited. I'm on holiday, and I'm just grumpy because I'm going to miss a Blood Incantation show. I've got a fucking holiday. I could see it being like maybe imagine like Art Tangent headline set from Blood Incantation, maybe on a second stage, but like ideally on the main stage, or like maybe a Damnation, maybe the Night of Salvation before Damnation, and they headlined that and did this or that. Well, it'd have to be this.
Mate,
It'd have to be this live.
I want to see it at the fucking Royal Albert Hall, sat in a really nice
God.
seat.
Yes,
with a nice
what a shout!
room temperature, smelly ale.
Oh, imagine it! And I'd make Nicola come with me so that I can go in the accessible box, which is in the best point in the Royal Albert Hall, like literally right next to the stage. It's amazing. Yeah,
nice.
I'd be like, Nick, you're gonna really like this. She won't, but
you're like 70%.
I went to the Royal Albert Hall recently, and it was great.
Just play on your phone during the death metal bits. She'll be fine.
I think this is, like you're saying, ridiculously incredible. I think it's going to be hard to beat for album of the year. It's just so ridiculously accomplished. I think this is a band at the top of their game, reaching the next level, just flopping their massive death metal sci-fi cock out, and everyone's just got to stare at it now.
A big grey hammer, like from that alien off the last album.
It's got weird little eyes. Yeah, my God. Yeah, this album is absolutely amazing. It's called Absolute Elsewhere, and it's by the band Blood Incantation, and you all need to listen to it. Stop what you're doing, listen to it right now. Unless you're watching this on the day we release it, in which case it won't be out yet. But in that case, stay up till midnight and listen to it as soon as it goes live on streaming services. It'll be worth being tired at work the next day for, I promise you.
That's a good midnight album to listen to, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going on holiday next week, and I can't wait to just listen to it on repeat by the pool.
Right.
Secondly,
this week,
boys,
on what is a completely stacked week of death metal. This is probably the best week for death metal in recent memory. Like, two absolute darlings of the genre unleashing two phenomenal records. There's also chat about Undeath.
There's also, just before we talk about Undeath, Maul are releasing a new album this week as well, which is also absolutely brilliant. But I just got so absorbed in the two records we are talking about, I didn't get a chance to really give it as much of a listen as I wanted to. But we are here to talk about Undeath. And Tom, you got to be unbiased, right? Because I think these are your boys, because you toured with them earlier in the year. So you got to try your best to be unbiased. All right, I'm warning you now. We're a very unbiased podcast. We like to be objective and give the people nothing but cold hard journalism.
That's
what we're all about.
This piece of shit apart. Fuck those guys.
Fuck those guys. Yeah, Undeath. They are a 5-piece death metal band from Rochester, New York. Their new album is called More Insane. It's released on Friday the 4th of October through Prosthetic Records. So yeah, Undeath have really risen to prominence very quickly in the last few years, and there's a pretty simple reason for that, and that's they fucking rip. I like to write nice, eloquent intros about bands sometimes, but sometimes they speak for the fucking selves, right? Like, it's clear off the back of Time to Rise from the Grave, which you came on the show, we talked about when that came out as well, didn't you, Tom?
I believe so, yeah.
I remember the thing that we all kind of really concluded was that they would just become such an anthemic band, and it really feels like they've taken that away and they've just gone, right, let's dial the anthemicness of what we do up to 1,000, and the result is this album, which is just absolutely loaded with bangers. Like, every track on this album could have been a single and it's an absolute rager. That's basically the takeaway from this Undeath album. Is this album is incredible.
Yeah,
it's a level up in
sick.
basically
So,
every
so sick.
direction. Literally
Absolutely.
every direction. Like, first of all, just the way the records sound. So they've always had this sort of like real sort of like rumbling mass of a sound, and it's all been sort of like one cohesive just ball of filth. And they've taken a bit of a different approach on this one, and it's just paid off massively. You've still got all the sort of things that made you love this band and like really get into them and appreciate them as musicians, but the clarity on this one is just unreal, dude. Unreal. It's so punchy as well.
Yeah, 100%. I think as well, like the sort of like ironic thing with, and I love the production on the other albums because they definitely like set them apart and like establish them as like their own sound.
Yeah.
I mean, some people would probably say like it's got a very like natural sound and it sounds more live, but like ironically, like when you see them live, they sound more like this record now. Like you can hear the riffs like a lot better. You can hear the drum parts like a lot more. Like Alex's vocals are just fucking ridiculous. Like bass lines or Tommy's bass lines like just really like cut through like perfectly.
Bass playing on this album is absolutely out of this world.
Yeah.
So good.
It's nuts. It's so good. And I think like I think this sounds like how they sound live, and like this is like really true to like how they sound in my mind and how I remember them when, you know, we did a tour with them, so like I listen to them every night, and this kind of really does feel like the Undeath experience.
Yeah.
It sounds so fucking corny, but like that.
I know exactly what you mean, though. Honestly,
it's hard not to sound corny when all you want to do
who...
is suck an album's dick.
But like, as a man who has come to death metal quite late, kind of was way more into like deathcore and stuff before he ever got into death metal. Like, I just prefer my albums to have a bit more like clarity in what's going on, and not that I did like. Obviously, I mean, I struggled a bit with the first one, but I absolutely loved It's Time to Rise from the Grave. But it was quite like muddy, and I think there's a whole world, a whole generation of people out there whose proclivities to production are more like mine than they are like into the sort of the really early Cannibal Corpse kind of like muddy, purposefully weird sounding records. And I think that having an album that sounds like this is just going to sort of help open them up to an entirely new audience of people who might have struggled, people who would like love like the Black Dahlia Murder, but you know, wouldn't go as far back as listening to like early Death or whatever. Like people who are kind of like more recent, like, what's the word I'm looking for? Just people who've more recently become entrenched in death metal as a result of this wave of awesome new young bands that have come out. And I think, like, you know, when you have a lot of, you know, we've been around, we've been part of the like hardcore and metal scenes and stuff for a long time. We've seen the fads kind of come and go, and like, I think that you're sort of seeing the back end of this old school death metal movement. But the bands that are gonna stick around are the bands that find a way to make their music more iconic than the scene that they're part of. And I really believe that Undeath have done that here with this record. You know, like, I think we said something similar about Gatecreeper when they released Dark Superstition. It's just finding their way to rise above, oh, they're just part of this faddy scene, to becoming like, oh, they're one of the most awesome bands that we have on this planet. Like, honestly, this album, this is so much more in my wheelhouse, I think, than the previous ones as well, because I'm like a child of mathcore, and there's a lot of like chopping and changing, and you know, they switch timings. Like in the first track, like there's tempo changes like 4 or 5 times, and it never feels weird. It never feels out of place. Like every time it happens, it makes sense, and it just makes every one of the tracks on this album feel really like alive. Like, you know, that energy that you get when you're showing your mate and a song, you're like, oh my god, you're gonna love the next bit, man. The next bit's gonna absolutely blow your mind. Like, it feels like this band are doing that with their own songs. They're like, oh my god, guys, like this next section that we play is gonna absolutely blow your mind, and then it happens, but the next one's gonna blow your mind even more. Like, they're just so like, they're so excited about their music, and it comes through in the way that they compose it and the way that they put it together. And I absolutely love that about it. And that's how I've always like enjoyed music, is when it's like so excited about what it's going to do next, that like I can't just listen to something that just does the same thing for 4 minutes. Like, it's exciting and it's like energetic, and I love that about it. Absolutely love that about it.
That's like whenever not to bring it back to me and talking about me, but, whenever I'm writing a song, like the rule is like there has to be at least like one cool thing that happens in the song.
Yeah, of
But
course.
these guys, like, it's just consistently like they do like 10 cool things per song. Like, it's just as simple as that, and like that's why it's so fucking sick. There's just so many cool things on the record.
Yeah, dude.
There is a concentrated
Just
amount
these
of cool
moments.
on this record. It's a lot of cool things. Like, you know, this is the third album that we've had from Undeath in 4 years, right? There are
Yeah,
a lot
it's
of bands that I think suffer from like having a rigorous like release schedule. Like I roll my eyes at like most bands that like put out an album every 2 years or out like just for the sake of it. It seems for some reason, like you just think, oh
Yeah.
well, this is just like this is another contractually obligated compilation of riffs. Like, but with Undeath, this hunger, this like fire that they've got in their belly is unreal, man. Like this is undoubtedly the catchiest collection of songs they've written, and you don't get that like every time like a band is just like they're just on some other shit right now, and this like release sort of schedule for them has worked amazingly. They're just killing it. This is so ridiculously good.
Yeah. So, well, in my notes, I put down genre power death metal.
Power death.
Yeah, is that power metal? But
Power
like
death
metal at the same time. Like it has that like glorious feel, like that song, like the Bounty Hunter, I think it's called. Like, it just feels like so triumphant and like what's the word? Sort of like just victorious.
Yeah. I thought that about
man.
basically every track. Like I think the one that really like gets me is like Cramped Caskets, where it's got that like that really like cool fiddly like bass line chorus part. Or I mean, what's the track on Time to Rise? Is Human Chandelier, isn't it? Where it's kind of a bit obtuse, a little bit different to everything else that's on. Yeah, that's it. It's just got that like weird kind of that weird kind of vibe that's slightly different. And then the track on this one is what's the bloody title? I've completely forgotten it. It's something to do with like getting a condom stuck in your brain. What's it called?
Disattachment of a prophylactic in the brain, mate.
Yeah, disattachment of a prophylactic in your brain.
He is off.
That track is so good.
He's off his nut, mate. He goes full fast flow. He's spitting absolute bars in that track, and it's unreal, mate. Like that track, he clicks into like he just goes full Super Saiyan and just completely smashes it. Like Alex's performance on this record, it sounds so
it's incredible,
good, man. Like, am I mental, or does he proper sound like Vincent from the Acacia Strain sometimes in this record? I love it.
I'm not sure I ever made that comparison when I was listening to it. I just was really glad to like the upping of the production levels made me just sort of hear me more front and center, because he's got massive frontman energy, and I feel like he always kind of used to get lost in the mix of what was going on in their songs, but now it's like he's literally right there. He's the most like focal thing that's going on at any one time, which is kind of the way it should be, and that's how he portrays it himself. I mean, he's a massive bloke, and he's got so much like energy, and he does he's always like really happy and a big smile and like the strongman arms and stuff. I just feel like the record does him the justice that he does. Like what you were saying about this is the Undeath experience, and it's finally been encapsulated. Yeah. Like I really feel like the record properly does Alex justice as a vocalist, and he's got so many great moments. Like it's the before the breakdown in Brandish, Brandish in the fucking blood, or like the bit in was it Disputus Malignancy, where he just says in my head, in my head, in my head, in my head, in my head. Like, there's just these little weird little things that he does, these little like charismatic like characters and kind of idiosyncratic little things that he does that make him stand out from the crop of death metal vocalists, and really makes his performance something that you properly notice. And it's not just he's just a good death metal vocalist, I guess. Like it's incredible, and the whole album's incredible. Like it's this year for death metal has been ridiculous.
Yeah.
All of the big bands have just been releasing incredible albums, but if I was to like sit down and go through and make like a 2024 death metal playlist, like I'm not saying that it's the best song of the year, but I would definitely put like Dead from Beyond on as track 1 because as Brandish the Blade as track 1 because it's got that incredible intro and the swell and the riffs are amazing.
It's just so instantaneous.
It's so exciting. It's so energetic. It's just kind of got everything you could possibly want from a massive hit. And I feel like the album kind of sort of built around that song. Like I feel I would speculate that was the first one that they wrote, and then that was kind of like the inspiration for everything else that created the whole piece. Like I have no idea if I'm honest, but that's just kind of how I feel when I listen to it. The energy that it gives off, like incredible, absolutely brilliant album. This and the artwork. We haven't even got onto the artwork. The artwork's fucking sick. It's so good. It's like hand painted. It's got all the other works inside it. It's like it's incredible.
That's the drummer did that, didn't he?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Matt, is his
That's
name
awesome.
Matt? I think it's Matt. Yeah, it's so fucking good. Like he does all of them. Like, and he did their logo as well. But yeah, it's just ridiculous. So fucking.
We should wrap in on the old hoodie.
absolutely.
Look at that. One of the best logos that there is, I think.
The best.
Yeah, man. This album is just so vibrant. Like the filth is still there. The filth absolutely spews from this record, but it's more vibrant, more pungent. It's more like bile yellow in this album. It's more glowing. It's just absolutely brilliant. I feel like I'm consuming them in an additional dimension to which I usually am. Like I feel like this is a 4D album, and the rest of them have been like a 3D albums. You know, it's unreal.
Yeah, you got really into them when they were black and white, and now they're in Technicolor. Yeah, no, absolutely. I can completely agree with you on that.
Yeah. This is great. It's if you're a fan of Undeath previously, then there's no way that you're not going to absolutely love this record. It's absolutely sick, and yeah, like you say, it's got one of the coolest. It might be the best album cover of the year.
Potentially could be. It potentially could be. I can't, off the top of my head, I can't think of anything else that I think that's better than it. I just think that is. It's just, I just love the fact that you can see the other artworks inside it as well. When you look, like you can see like the graveyard and stuff as you kind of zoom into the detail inside the gap between the two pieces of head.
And that's been a continuous
is a sentence
theme
I
with
don't
them.
think I'd ever said before.
That's been a continuous theme with them, hasn't it? Like each one of them.
It's going to keep cascading out and out and out like a kaleidoscope. Yeah.
It's like fucking Horton Hears a Who, but death
metal. Yeah, dudes. The album is called More Insane. It's by the band Undeath. Check it out, boys.
Yeah, mate.
What a time
I really
to be alive
do think
and a fan of riffs, eh? What a time.
They're throwing the old gauntlet down, man. Like with this record, like, you know, what does Frozen Soul look at this record and go, "Fuck, we need to write a new one"? Like what? Because they're obviously going to be in into the third album cycle, like coming up pretty soon, right? And they're the sort of like the contemporaries in this scene. Like there must be, a lot of people in death metal bands looking at this record and going, "Fuck."
A lot of people quaking in their boots as a result, including Tom and his band.
I think that's like what's making it so fucking good though. Like you think like with each cycle, like everyone's becoming like more and more refined, and I think it's like you do look at your peers and like think like, all right, fuck, we've got to like step up to like keep up. And I think this is where like certain bands like have to sort of like keep up to keep going, sort of thing. But I think it's a very healthy thing. I think like this needs to happen. And, you know, obviously like we weren't there in the early 90s, but it's probably what was happening with like fucking Cannibal Corpse, Obituary, Morbid Angel, Deicide, like everyone in Suffocation. It's kind of like, well, they've done this. Like we need to now do this. I imagine that's how it goes. And I know it definitely like is a factor in my mind when I'm writing this. Like, all right, we've got to step up.
You go, that riff was good, but was it most recent Undeath album good?
Yeah, exactly.
That's awesome. And yeah, man, a rising tide lifts all ships. Is that the saying? I don't know. I try to use that saying all the time and I fuck it up every time.
He says it all
you know
the
what
time.
you know what I'm saying?
I don't know if you've ever said it right.
I don't know that I ever have. I don't know that I've ever successfully used that saying, but you know the point I'm trying to make. Oh dear! So what's going on with the band, man? Didn't you just announce an absolutely stonking? Oh, that's pretty soon, isn't it? Cruelty.
Oh, Cruelty.
Tour. Is that next month?
Yeah. It's come around like so quickly because like it's been kind of sort of like going on in the background, like talking about it and stuff, and then it's been announced and it's just like, oh fuck, like that's. I think when it got announced, it was like kind of 6-7 weeks away. And
it's quite last minute these days, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, like people can always say like, "Oh yeah, it's confirmed," but like we never actually like book our van or like our like the merch order and stuff until like the tour dates are out because it's like okay, like it is definitely going ahead.
Yeah. No going back once you've announced it.
Yeah, exactly. So now we're sort of like in the midst of sorting out all the logistics. But yeah, I can't fucking wait. Like I think we're doing like 12 dates around the UK, which is
awesome,
bonkers as fuck, but also cool as fuck. To sort of like play, you know, people in Wales can't kick off now. People in Scotland can't kick off. I think we're going down to Southampton as well. Are we?
I think you might be. I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you're popping down to the old joiners.
Oh, well, if you guys want to come down, just let me know and we'll sort it out. But yeah, I can't wait.
It'd be rude not to, right?
Yeah. Very rude.
If I can break away from fatherly duties for some death metal, I absolutely shall. You going to Damnation, Tom?
No, because it's we.
Oh, is it during?
I think Damnation is what? Yeah. We're in Glasgow when Damnation is happening, unfortunately. Yeah, but we'll be in Manchester the day after Damnation finishes. So if you're at Damnation. And you've booked an extra night at the hotel, and you want to come down to a gig the day after, we're going to be in Manchester. But yeah, I mean, I would sit here and reel off all of the dates, but yeah, we're playing all the usual places plus Oxford, basically.
Nice, Gary, you here?
Is something going on?
Can you hear me? Because I've accidentally unplugged my microphone.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Well,
fidelity isn't quite as high.
No, that's because it's coming through the webcam now, I think. Why do we?
Yeah, so Tom, you'll be riffing around the United Kingdom and further. Hopefully we can maybe go to watch you in Southampton if I can get signed off from HR.
Maxie along. He'll love it. His first taste of live death metal.
That's probably what I should do. That's what I really should do, isn't it?
I just want to see you in a circle pit with a pushchair.
I'm going to put some spikes on the front of the baby carrier. A couple of bullet belts around the baby.
That might be the best idea you've ever had.
Can I get him some tiny pit vipers off Temu or something like that?
Yeah, little baby pit vipers. Get some patches
little baby gauntlets
for the what they call it, baby Bjorn, covered in patches. Like, yeah, mate, amazing. You're making dad life sound cool.
Absolutely. Tom, you guys are prolific with the merch, right? You always crush it. You have like some of the best shirts, right? You know that white long sleeve you had with the blue front, like the logo on the front in blue and red. That is literally my favorite shirt ever. I think it's the fucking best shirt that any band's ever made. I wear it to absolute fucking death, and like. I just want to make sure, I just wanted to let you know that it is the sickest shirt I own, and that you should continue to make really good long sleeves in white, because they're like, I'm sure that most people that have a missus do get a lot of stick for always buying black shirts, and it's one of the things you can come away from a gig going like that, I got that, and they don't get annoyed. It's a cheat code.
That's a really good point. I think we do need to do more white merch again.
More different colours that aren't black. Although I'll jump in and say that my Visions of Stagnant Blood t-shirt, I absolutely love that as well, because I love how it looks sort of graffiti style. Like it looks quite hip hop at the same time as looking really death metal, because it's basically just like blood and guts and viscera. But I think it's absolutely sick, mate.
Oh, thank
merch
you,
drops for the win.
Yeah. We got some real cool shit planned for this tour. We got some more grey hoodies. We got fucking jogging bottoms coming.
Ooh,
Nice.
Yeah, we got some more caps as well.
Ooh.
hell yeah! Everyone, bring your merch tokens along to the show and stock up.
We're also gonna have because we did that like the small run of the Visions of Stagnant Blood EP. We did it on vinyl, but we only did like a small amount for that Kerry King show, which was fucking nuts. I can't believe we actually got to do that. But yeah, we sold out of all of those. So like we've actually got like a proper like big. We've pressed 100 ourselves, so we're gonna have a bunch of those of us as well.
Oh, cool.
To shift on some.
Sick.
So they're like lathe cut, which apparently were like has a bad reputation of like not having the best sound quality, just from like yesteryear, because that's how people would always do like their bootlegs was like lathe cut vinyl. But like basically, our manager, he knows this guy in Wales, and he's like, I think he's a doctor in sound or something.
Oh,
He's like a fucking intense
He's a riff
audiophile, and he has set up like this. Riff Doctor, Vinyl Doctor. Yeah, he's set up this like so they cut the music into the disc. It's not like pressed in. Pressed in like that soft shit. It's hard, it's cutting.
It's cutting.
Yeah, so he does that, and basically like he sits there, and so we're getting like 100 done. He's gonna have to like listen to our EP 100 times because he like checks it as it's being cut in that it sounds all right. So it's like the audio quality is just like absolute like next level, like artisan sort of like record. So I'm really excited.
That sounds amazing.
That sounds really. I just imagine this is a guy just like using like a hammer and chisel to just like chip your EP into like a piece of slate or something. Like,
fuck, I played that riff wrong.
Oh shit! I got that note wrong. Damn it! Throw the whole record out, start again. Amazing! Oh man, that's really cool. So
you're like, it's mostly all right, but 2 minutes of it does sound a bit Maroon 5.
got distracted in the middle. In the middle of one of the riffs is just the sound of a Ring doorbell where someone turned up with an Uber Eats for lunch. Oh dear! Right, we should probably pack up and get lost. I'm going on holiday, but we're going to try and squeeze another episode in. Hopefully, you never know because we got Vomit Forth to talk about, and it absolutely slaps.
The Vomit Forth record is unreal. I know we've been talking about consistently unreal death metal records right now, but Vomit Forth is just one of the biggest glow ups. One of the biggest glow ups in history. This Vomit Forth record. I cannot wait to listen to it even more and chat about it with you. Tom, thank you for joining us, mate. Always an absolute bloody pleasure. We love you lots, and if you've enjoyed this, maybe give us like a like and a thing, a subscribe, maybe even do a comment. That would really help us with the old YouTube. We're trying our hardest. We'll see you very soon. Love you lots. Bye.
Bye.
Cheers. Bye.